Hi folks, welcome back to Game Geeks. I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Today's episode, we are reviewing Hunter the Vigil for the New World of Darkness line. I get a lot of requests to review the New World of Darkness books, and this is one that I really sort of resonate with the strongest. This is not a reboot of Hunter the Reckoning from the old World of Darkness. They are nothing alike. Really, I mean, if you pay attention or even not, you can sleep your way through Vampire the Requiem and see where the Masquerade had influences. After that, Werewolf the Forsaken was different. Mage the Awakening was very different. Changeling was, oh my god, what the hell just happened? Hunter is profoundly different, but in a really awesome way. This is probably my favorite of the New World of Darkness lines, and here's why. In Hunter the Vigil, you play a normal person. Footnote. I'm going to come back and talk about that in a little bit. Your person may not be quite as normal as we let on. You play a normal person who takes up the fight against the supernatural. There are 3 tiers with which you play. The first tier is basically you're a normal guy or gal, and you were found out the supernatural was real because something happened. You either saw something you shouldn't, or something hurt your family, or something ate your dog, or something, and you sort of get into investigating it that way. The second tier is what they call a compact. This is a loosely networked association of similarly minded people who do something, who basically hunt, but they're not that bad or that badass really, but they're there and they do, and they sort of work along the same lines. There is no real unifying theme for first tier. The second tier, your compacts are things like, let's say the Loyalists of Thule, who are occultists who had gotten sucked into Nazism for a while, then they broke out and they're trying to remove themselves from that point of view, but they like to delve into things that you really shouldn't know. These are sort of your amateur occultists of the really dark. Then you've got the Union, which are basically just blue-collar laborers who all work together and have each other's back against the bad guys. Above that, you have the conspiracies. Now, at the conspiracy level, we'll come back to that footnote, where you may not be quite as normal as you initially thought you were. The conspiracies actually are broader, much more powerful national or international forces. You've got Task Force Valkyrie, which is sort of the United States government's military response to the supernatural and the unknown. You go in there and you shoot it. You've got the Luciferge, who are supposedly all descended from Lucifer, but they're using their infernal powers to fight the bad guys. You've got the Malleus Maleficarum, Malleus Maleficarum, which are essentially the Catholic Church's response to the unknown and the supernatural. There are a bunch of these that cover everything from military response, corporate, to occult. That's really the 3 approaches. You've got either the military government, the corporate response, or the occult in one form or another. Each one of these conspiracies has some widget that makes it a little bit more powerful or a little bit different than the compacts level. For example, with Task Force Valkyrie, you have advanced tech that helps you fight the bad guys. With the Carrion group, which is the industrial sort of business approach, you end up with capturing the bad guys, experimenting on them, and taking out pieces of them to make new medicines, new drugs, etc. All the way down to the Malleus Maleficarum, who have sort of miracle-powered abilities to fight the bad guys. One of the things that makes this different, and these are not anywhere near the power level that, say, werewolves, mages, or vampires have. None of these are that powerful or that really that dynamic. What they have, though, is they're low enough that they can kind of fly under the radar when most people are looking. Like, if a werewolf wolfs out and you manage to not go crazy when you see it, you're going to know it was a werewolf. If a Luciferge does something that looks a little infernal, you might pass that off as, I was imagining it, or, oh, I was drinking. The other thing that sets this game apart from the other ones, because it doesn't have the big group of spells or disciplines or rites that the spirits teach you, is you learn to work as a team. That's one of the key features to running a hunter game, is you are working as a team. You work together, and you gain abilities to operate together as one or more of you doing something along these lines. One of the tactics you can use in this, for example, is called Cripple Claws. And what you do in this is you find something that has talons or claws, and you find a way with you and your teammates to disable those claws so they can't hurt you anymore. This takes a couple of roles, both in terms of the primary action and the secondary and supporting actions, but what you do in the end is you manage not to hurt yourself, or you manage to hurt them so you don't get hurt in the long run. If you fail miserably, well, guess what? You hurt your friends, and the thing still has claws, and it can come and get you. There are a whole bunch of these to choose from in terms of the tactics that you learn with practical experience. So you get an additional pool of experience points that you and your team work with, that you can use for these sorts of actions. So you can, if you succeed really well or you fail miserably, you get practical experience, because if you survive a miserable failure, you've learned something from that event. So while you're still playing less powerful characters than the standard lines, there's enough that gives you add-ons for advantages that while you'll never be as tough in a fight as, say, a werewolf or a geist, you will still have enough you can get around them, or you can operate in such a ways that it sort of nullifies some of their advantages. Like most of the World of Darkness games, it has a titular city in which everything is set, and in this case that is Philadelphia, which I thought was an interesting choice. There's a lot of good background for why Philadelphia is being one of the first cities and very important in American history. There's a very good reason why this game is set in that particular environment. As the support goes, this had a more limited run than a lot of the other World of Darkness games have. For example, Vampire and Mage have lumbered on forever. This one, though, I found particularly interesting because the splat books for it, which we'll review at a later time, focus on shapechangers, vampires, mages, and my particular interesting one, serial killers. That's the one thing this brought, was you have slashers, which are supernatural or just regular serial killers that your characters can fight and ultimately try not to become. This is my favorite of the World of Darkness line, to be very honest with you. I like the points of view with it. If I were to run this next week, I would probably change it so that it's more extraterrestrial than supernatural, which is very easy to do, because one of the things that I really loved about this, at the beginning of the book where it gives you sort of the reference material that gave rise to some of the ideas that you might see that would help you with this, Torchwood. And we all know how much I like Torchwood. So, if you like a game where you're a normal person fighting the unknown, you don't have a whole lot of power that you can throw against it. This is not a full urban fantasy game like, say, Dresden Files. This is, you're a normal person, good luck. Then this is a game for you to take a look at. For Game Geeks, I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Good day and good gaming. Do, 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 do.